Hello, everybody. If I can all ask you to take your seats. A very, very warm welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us today for Durham Student Art Prize. There are people in the room and there are people at home, so forgive us if we are flicking between screens and rooms. This is obviously one of the first times and hopefully a few times that we'll be doing this. We hope to be celebrating with all of you properly soon. But thank you. I can see a whole load of people on my screen here. Thank you for joining us at home, and thank you to everybody here in the room. My name is Jessica Smith. I'm from the Alumni and Development Office here in Durham, and I will be your host today. A particular big welcome to this Student Art Prize, the prize winners announcement event. Thank you all for coming. Art is an incredibly important part of our culture and community. I know so many people have turned to it this year more than ever, or have rekindled a passion for it over the past year in particular. So thank you all. As I've said, with us tonight, we've got these two attendees. Those in the screen, do give us a wave, just so I know that you can hear me. Yes, they're waving. Everybody, they're waving. Before we get started, there are just a few housekeeping announcements and just important notes to share for today's session. If you're with us, here in the lecture theatre, please do remain seated for the duration of the event, if at all possible, unless, of course, your name is called. If you do need the facilities and would like to head that way and follow the one-way system, they're just outside in the foyer back there. And do also keep your face coverings on at all times unless you're exempt. To our Zoom attendees, you'll notice you're all currently on mute. Please do keep your microphones on mute so that we don't end up with any crackly feedback. You might already know this from extensive lockdown use, but you can control what you can see on the screen. So currently you've got a big PowerPoint presentation and my face, hopefully in the corner. You can make me as big or as small as you'd like. It's up to you. You just slide the screen. I'll leave that for you to decide. There will be times where we're making presentations in the room, so you might want to make the screen a bit bigger, and I will try and also tap the screen as appropriate. I'd also love to introduce and thank massively Louise, who is our lady behind the screens. I can't see her or hear her, but I know that you can. She'll give you a wave, and she will be monitoring the chat as well. And final bit of housekeeping from me. Today's session is being recorded and will be made available to the community to view afterwards. We are, of course, here to find out more about the Art Prize and to announce the very important Art Prize winners. If you do have any questions or want to know more, please do contact Art Collection at durham.ac.uk following the event, and that will be in the chat currently for those on Zoom. So, we're almost ready to get the show on the road. I'm just going to talk you through the schedule of the evening so you know what to expect, as we have two very exciting presentations this evening. First of all, we will be hearing from our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Stuart Corbridge, who is presenting a very special award to our donor, alumnus Richard Roberts. And as many of you will know, Professor Corbridge is sadly retiring this summer, but it is my great pleasure to give you all a sneak preview of his official portrait, painted by a previous Art Prize winner, Anna Horwich. You may remember that stunning piece, which we'll see in a little bit, of Wisdom of Age, a portrait of a very wise-looking lady named Jill. After that presentation, we will hear a little bit more from Richard about the Art Prize and its conception, and why he believes it's important to the student community in this way. And finally, the moment many of you have been waiting for, we will reveal the Art Prize winners. So, the Student Art Prize was established in response to the expanding desire among students for support for visual arts, something that every college does in some way, via workshops, meeting artists, painting scenery. All of these skills are developed at Durham, but not formally taught. And so this prize looks to support those students. This year, we had just shy of 90 student artwork submitted to the competition, of which 26 were shortlisted and are now displayed online as part of the Summer in the City Festival. The very generous fund of £1,500 for first prize, £1,000 for second prize and £500 for third prize has been donated by an alumnus and art enthusiast, Richard Roberts. This evening, we have the honour of presenting Richard with a Dunelmensis Award. This award is given by the University Senate to a Durham alumnus or alumna for exceptional service in support of the university, and we award it to Richard tonight to mark his time, dedication and commitment to the university. So I would now like to introduce our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Stuart Corbridge, and our generous alumnus, Richard Roberts. It's my pleasure to hand over, Stuart, to you now.
Hello everybody, a very warm good evening from myself, Stuart Corbridge. I'm with my partner Joan Sims. It's an absolute delight, first of all, to be out and about. We've been lucky this week going to wonderful music event. You were there, of course, Jess, in the cathedral on Monday evening, and then the student volunteering and staff volunteering awards in the big tent on the race course yesterday, Team Durham event at Maiden Castle at lunchtime, and now the Student Art Prize for 2020-2021. I think if you know something about the history of the university, you will know not only that Durham is a wonderful university dating back to 1832, but that when it grew in the second half of the 19th century, in the first part of the 20th century, many of the things that you might expect to find at a university of our standing were actually developed up the road about 12, 14 miles away in Newcastle upon Tyne. So we have a lot of engineering up there, of course, the medical school and fine arts as well, and architecture. And that makes it even more remarkable, I think, for people like yourself and Robert, Richard and me, that we have such an incredible standard of art at the university, and it really is an inspiration to all of us. This competition, it seems to me, embodies the university values. We are a values-driven university. We like to say that we're challenging, and there's certainly an element of challenge in some of the competition entries this year, rightly so, on the theme of heroism, following on from diversity last year. Enabling, there's a generosity of spirit, I think, in many of the submissions this year. Innovative, of course, there are different styles of painting on display. Respectful and responsible too, and it's picked up in the way that people this year are dealing with the question of heroism in a very inclusive way, as students did the previous year with diversity. And above all, the meta value of the university to be inspirational. And it really is inspirational to see the standard of the work that we've got. Now, as you said, Jess, I think in the first year that we did this competition, we had 60, 70 entries, and we're up to, I think you said, close to 90. My notes said 85, so it's good that it's gone up at short notice this year from around the university. And they are of just the most amazing standard. And to try and select the artworks that are on display online, and which soon will be around the university, has clearly been very difficult. And I'm hugely grateful to a panel made up of representatives from the University Student Wellbeing and University Colleges, UK-based contemporary artists, and current university artists in residence, Sophia Barton and Lady Kit, and our regional arts organisation, East Durham Creates. Thank you for all the work that you've done in judging this competition. But the winners are chosen by popular vote. So colleagues that are with us online doubtless will have voted. Many of us will have voted too. I'm just going to say one more thing before handing an award to Richard. And that is that Joan and I are delighted that we will be unveiled, as it were, this evening. It's a very strange thing, of course, it's never happened to me before, to be painted. if you think about the way that the university is ordinarily represented in art, it does tend to be a rather elderly male. I fit that bill, I accept that. Usually dressed in a suit and tie with the incredible zigzags on, the great gown that we wear for university congregations. And I loved that sense of occasion. You're dressed splendidly tonight, Richard, I must say. I felt this year that was not the most appropriate way of marking my vice-chancellorship. We're all dressed in a very particular way tonight. There's something absolutely in common amongst everybody when I look out into the audience. And when you see the painting tonight by Anna Horwich, who got 3rd place in last year's competition, we've had the great pleasure of getting to know Anna, you will notice, first of all, that the dress is a little bit unusual. And it's not a singular painting. I don't think that universities are run by an individual. And I'm sorry that we can't have the whole team here, in the way that I'd love to thank everybody tonight for being involved. Louise, Jess, everybody that's been involved in putting this together. But you will see that there's more than one person for the first time in that painting. But let me come now to Richard and say that the last time that we met Richard was in February. Can't remember the exact day. I should have looked it up. And we'd both just been for our first jab in the Green Lane Medical Centre. I think we both had Pfizer. We both had Pfizer. It was a strange experience. It was the most uplifting day. You get this tremendous sense of well-being when you've had your first jab. And I'm sure some of you perhaps haven't had your first jab yet. And they're very good at Green Lane, aren't they? And they told us that we have to wait for 15 minutes afterwards. And I walk in and I sit down, and right next to me is Richard. And we talked first of all about the jab, of course, but then we got on to art. And it is astonishing to have an alumnus of the university, as happens so often in different areas of the university, really wanting to move the university in a slightly different direction. We know that we're strong in art, in theatre art, in music, in sport and volunteering, but to move into the domain of art in a more defined sense is something that I think the university has long been waiting for. And your catalytic role in that has been extraordinary. Now, Jess mentioned that Richard supports this prize financially. £1,500 for first place tonight, 1,000 for second, and 500 for third. And that's wonderful, as it was last year. But it's your energy, it's your sense of commitment to the university, your creativity, Richard, if you don't mind me saying, that we value even more. So it really is a genuine honour and privilege, but also a pleasure for me tonight to see Richard in this setting far more appropriately, and to present a Donnell Menzies Award. Now, as Jess just said, and I'll read it out, Richard, the Donnell Menzies Award is given by the university's Senate to a Durham alumnus or alumna for meritorious and exceptional service in support of the university, particularly for our institutional advancement and for enhancing the university's reputation nationally and internationally. And you've absolutely done that. And I know that the Senate was absolutely delighted to confer this award on you. So without further ado, we'll do the Namaste, I think, tonight, but let me say with the huge thanks of the University Senate for all that you do for the university. I confer upon you the Donnell Menzies Award.
Thank you so much, Stuart. I'm immensely humbled by this award. I came to Durham in 1976, a first-generation university student from a very ordinary northern background with a very good state grammar school education. Without the love and fellowship I found at St John's College for 3 years, because I was fortunate enough to live in for the entire 3 years. And without the excellence of the teaching in both the law and politics department, I would not have had the life or career that I've enjoyed. I've always worked on the philosophy, why would I not want to help the college and the university that gave me so much? It's a huge privilege to do things both for St John's College and for the wider university, and I hope to carry on doing that for many years. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you both very, very much for those words and for the award. And yeah, we are very, very grateful to you both. But now to move on to our next item, which I am very eager to show you all. You will have noticed this rather secretive easel next to me. As Stuart has already said, it is tradition here at Durham that every Vice-Chancellor must have an official portrait of themselves created. It's usually hung in the university in the Bill Bryson Library. It is fabulous to share that Stuart decided to commission a current student to create his portrait, having been so impressed with her entry to last year's art prize. As far as we're aware, this is the first time this has ever happened, but long may it continue. And I'm now going to hand over to Liz Waller, Director of Libraries and Collections, to unveil the artwork and give us a sneak peek. Thank you, Liz.
Thanks very much, Jess, and welcome everybody to this evening's proceedings. I think I have the best job this evening, and I'd like to invite you to participate in this job, because I think we need a countdown.
Ooh, yes.
From 5. So I will invite you to join in just a second. I'll go to the other side of this. So can I invite you now? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I think some of us are wearing those identical masks this evening. So we're going to ask Stuart a bit about this portrait in just a minute, ask him what prompted him to take this pose. And I think it's one that actually, for those of us who had the pleasure of actually visiting Hollingside House and seeing Joan and Stuart and the dogs in particular in this relaxed pose, it's something we recognise a lot. But before we speak to Stuart, we're just going to hear a few words from our artist. I'll hand over to Jess to manage the technology.
It was a tremendous honour to be asked to paint the portrait of the Vice-Chancellor on his retirement, and I'm deeply grateful to him for giving me that opportunity. Originally, I had assumed a traditional portrait, showing the Vice-Chancellor standing in full. It was a tremendous honour to be asked to paint the portrait of the Vice-Chancellor on his retirement, and I'm deeply grateful to him for giving me that opportunity. Originally, I had assumed a traditional portrait, showing the Vice-Chancellor standing in full length, perhaps holding a scroll, and standing in front of rows of books in the background. It was a tremendous honour to be asked to paint the portrait of the Vice-Chancellor on his retirement, and I'm deeply grateful to him for giving me that opportunity. Originally, I had assumed a traditional portrait, showing the Vice-Chancellor standing in full length, perhaps holding a scroll, and standing in front of rows of books in the background. However, when I first met him, it did become clear that both he and I wanted something different, as after all, this year has been like no other. Everybody, from students to teachers to key workers, has had to think outside the box and find new ways of doing things, with so many of us working and learning from home. He discussed how the painting would reflect this, and he came up with the idea of him sitting down with his wife in masks, dressed casually in jeans, with sleeves rolled up, next to their 2 dogs on either side of them, on their garden bench at home. This painting is much more personal, showing the Vice-Chancellor in his social bubble, a world away from the packed halls of academia. I thoroughly enjoyed learning about their time and experiences at Durham University and painting their portraits, and I will be forever grateful for this opportunity. I wish him every happiness in his retirement and send him and his wife my very best wishes. Thank you once again.
And it wasn't how I was understanding the university in this very, very difficult year, at a time when we were beginning to change the personnel of the university and all the difficulties that people were facing. And much of what I've done has been with my partner, Joan, and increasingly with our two non-human friends. Yeah. I call them the young gentlemen. They used to be boys, but they're now young gentlemen. So Max on the right is a 4-year-old cockapoo, and this is his half-brother, Gus, who's 3 years old. And their dad is called Ziggy. Unfortunately, Ziggy passed away last year, but he's given enormous amounts of pleasure to people all around the country with the pups that he's sired. And so when I began to think about the university, and I absolutely love this university, and I began to think, well, you know, how did I connect to it? I just didn't see myself fundamentally as an old guy in zigzags. I saw myself as an old guy, but I'm a jeans and t-shirt sort of guy, you know, fundamentally. I mean, Joan and I went to the biggest ever pop concert in this country, Blackbush Aerodrome in 1978 for Bob Dylan, and that's the sorts of things that we grew up with. But I think the university is honouring its traditions but changing at the same time, and art, more than anything I know, was able to dramatise that. So we got in touch with Anna. Anna came over to Hollingside, which is the VC house by the Botanic Gardens, and she just took a couple of pictures of us in the back garden. Joan's hair was blowing a wee bit at that time, so her fringe disappeared. And when we got this version, the only thing that wasn't quite right was the absence of a fringe, and I think Anna must have just penciled it in at the end. But she's a wonderful student, a second-year MLAC student who's got a year abroad next year, and it was a great pleasure to get to know her, and a great honour to be painted by her. And if you go on to annahorridge.com, you can just see that this student, who's an MLAC student, is just a brilliant artist, absolutely brilliant artist. So that was the story.
Thank you, Stuart.
We were pleased. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. A particular thank you to those at home who did get to hear that audio. I'm very sorry for those in the room, but they heard it on the other end of the Zoom screen. But thank you, Stuart, for your words, and for Liz, and for this just stunning bit of artwork that we now have. So I now have the great pleasure of handing back over to Richard Roberts, who will be talking about his interest in art and his collection and why he thinks it's so important to the student experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Like many good ideas, the one for the Student Art Prize came out of a chance remark at a party. Some of you will know this, but I was a guest at the Vice-Chancellor's summer party in 2019. And towards the end of the evening, when I'd had perhaps a glass too many, I was politely but very firmly complaining about Durham's emphasis on sport. I've never been sporty-minded at all. I heartily applaud all the sporting and indeed musical and theatrical achievements of the students, but it seemed to me there was a glaring omission in respect of art. And you may say, well, why does art matter? On the screen, which certainly we can see here, are they seeing at home?
Yes.
We hope, we think.
Yes, they are.
I've chosen some works of art of mine, partly to detract from having to look at me, but partly to trigger some thoughts. Throughout my career as a solicitor, I found great solace in looking at art, be it paintings, photography, sculpture. I buy art because it says something to me. Each day I try and look at one of the paintings I've got and spend some time really looking at it, even if it's a painting that I've owned for many years. On the screen at the moment, for instance, we've got a lady in a red sou'wester in Wellingtons going out on a rainy, wet beach somewhere. One of my friends is convinced she's lost the dog. I'm convinced she's got stones in her pockets and she's off to commit suicide. Art says so much to so many people. Art triggers memories, it sparks imagination, it challenges beliefs and perceptions. But most of all, it should make the viewer stop and look. I'm not artistic either. I can't play sport, I can't do art. I can talk a lot. My artist friends tell me, though, how calming it is to paint or draw, to contemplate that perfect photographic shot. So the creative artist has to stop and look. And that's the key as I see it. It's a stop and look time. Then it's a trigger for creative imagination. It's a time to step away from work, from the pressures of life. A contemplative time, a time for abstraction. On the screen now, there's a couple of interesting shots. The photograph on the left is by a very famous photographer, but the key line is, a still picture has greater lasting power. The shot on the right, again, another beach shot. Strange trio on the beach. Have they all fallen out? Is he dad waiting for kids? All sorts of things. So to me, art is very important. So when I moved back to Durham 3 years ago to live permanently here, I very quickly noticed a number of changes in student life. The most striking change to me was that students are under so much mental stress and pressure. Students face financial worries about affording to be at university at all. They face the pressure of wanting to achieve their very best so they can achieve good career goals. They face pressures surrounding their identity as adults. And I've become really concerned about the level of student mental health, both here and in other universities. Because for me, being at university is about a whole experience. It's not just, it should never be just academic work. It should be the chance to explore much wider student experiences. And as part of that, there needs to be the time to stop and look, the time to creatively imagine, the time to step away from stress. And that should be an integral part of the Durham experience. So I hope that as the years go on, that the Student Art Prize can do much to encourage students to look at art in the same way they would look at sport or drama or music. A rewarding and relaxing contrast from the slog of academic study. Be you the student artist or the art viewer, there is much to be thankful for, particularly in an environment like Durham, which celebrates art in all its forms and has done for 1,000 years. Much has been said tonight about the level of prize money. I deliberately wanted to set it at a level that was comparable with similar art prizes, but at art colleges, because I want this prize to be as prominent as art prizes in art colleges. We have some fabulously talented students. And after last year's success, I quite happily have agreed to sponsor this for the next 12 years. I was also keen that each year's winners are rewarded by having their artwork taken into the university's Western Art collection and receive significance in that regard. I was even more delighted when I heard that Anna had been invited to paint the Vice-Chancellor's official portrait. Considering we don't teach art as a formal subject at Durham, I am amazed and humbled at the level of proficiency shown by our student artists. Last year's entries on the theme of diversity were excellent. This year's on heroism are truly outstanding. I was part of the judging panel, and it was incredibly difficult to select the top 5. I ought to just pause for one moment and pay particular tribute to the considerable skills of Alex Collingwood Swinburne, who's the university's curator of Western and modern art, for she's shouldered much of the organisational and administrative burden of the prize and has done so with great passion, much good humour, and we've had a lot of fun in doing it. I have a vision that over the coming years we'll broaden this prize to include separate classes for photography, sculpture, videos and creative writing. I hope other alumni will want to join in and support the prizes, and I hope in the longer term we can encourage a dialogue with other universities so we can create an inter-university art festival. There's so much scope that we can cover by raising the profile of art within the university. We have an excess of magnolia painted walls in both colleges and university buildings, all of which could be enhanced by art on the walls. We've great outdoor spaces that could benefit from plinth art. And now we know we have a number of very creative students here in Durham. I'm sure that over time, all these developments will really put art alongside sport and music and theatre as an equal Durham experience and give us all time to stop and think. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Richard. We really are incredibly grateful for your dedication and commitment. And next we're going to hear, don't worry, we are edging a little bit closer, for those nervous in your seats, we are edging closer to the prize announcement. But next, if I can get the technology to work this time, we are going to hear from Alice Stubbings to say a few words about her experience last year.
Hi, my name's Alice and I'm here to give a few words about my experience participating within the competition last year. So my experience participating within the competition has been extremely positive. From winning the competition last year, which is just something that I never expected, to all the opportunities that I've been offered since then, the whole experience has just been incredible. Having my work framed to be displayed in the Palatine Centre, hopefully later this year, and it becoming part of the University Arts Collection has just been such a great honour. And I really look forward to seeing my work when it is installed. My work was featured on the Vice-Chancellor's Christmas card for 2020, and it was also featured in the Riverwalk exhibition in Durham, which was part of the Summer in the City Durham University Arts Festival. And it also provided me with a topic of conversation when I was applying to internship and vacation scheme places this summer, and it proved to be something that the people who were interviewing me were really interested in. The theme of last year's prize was diversity. So in my piece, Hands of Acceptance, I tried to represent the definition of diversity and its place within society. Through the use of colour, I tried to encompass people from all different backgrounds and social groups. And the quotes in the background of the piece were intended to pay respect to those who fought bravely for greater inclusivity, both in the past and in present day as well. Hands of Acceptance is a piece that I really enjoyed creating, and I think that representation of diversity in art is really important in general, so I was pleased to be able to translate this within my work. When I entered the competition, I never thought that the result would be what it was, and winning the competition has given me so much more confidence in myself and my ability, which is something that I've always really struggled with, so I'm really grateful for this. And everyone within the competition has just been so lovely and supportive. And I genuinely think it's been one of the highlights of my time at university. It's definitely something I'll look back on for many years to come. The Student Art Prize is really important as it provides an opportunity for students to engage within the arts while at university. It provides a great way for students to showcase their artwork, and it further promotes the arts here at Durham. For me, art can be a great way of relieving stress, and I know that in general it's really good at relieving and promoting more positive mental health. Art has always been something that I've really enjoyed and I really love, so it's really nice to have the opportunity to develop this passion alongside my degree. And thank you very much for listening. I hope you've all had a lovely evening.
Wonderful, so fantastic to hear, and I'm excited to find out who it will be this year. So on to the main event, the bit we've all been waiting for. There are actually going to be 6 awards this evening. I'm going to hand over to Richard to make the announcements, but just if you are awarded and you're in the room, if you'd like to follow the one-way system and come down here where Jed, who's waving over there, will greet you, come on through to accept your prize. And if you want to stop and give a wave to people at home, I'm sure they'd appreciate it before making your way back round. So now, mask back on for me and back over to Richard to talk us through the winners.
Thank you very much. This is the bit I hate because I dread getting the results wrong. So I've not only done it in very large font, but in bold as well. I mentioned earlier when the judges panel looked at these, I was extremely humbled by the fact that the 6 final judging panel members had spent so much time looking at the shortlist items. And indeed, we spent at times very amusing, at times quite battling 2 hours one afternoon looking at each individual artwork on the shortlist. We ended up with 5 outstanding works. Slight break with tradition, we're going to have 2 joint third prize winners. Now, the first of the joint third prize winners was a painting which really showed a hero of the pandemic. This was a wonderful painting, a good reflection on heroism and the community, and it showed warmth and expression. So the joint third prize winner is the painting Milkman Steve by Alan Fasham, and that's a £500 prize. Is Ellen here?
Yeah,
Yep.
hi. I'm on Zoom. Thank you.
The second joint third prize winner, this was a unique take on heroism. And one of our judging panel, who is a highly experienced artist himself, said it portrayed some really interesting techniques. It was an interesting subject and one that inverted the theme of heroism. So the second joint third prize winner is Alfred Hillman's self-portrait as Judith and Holofernes. And I know Alfred isn't here. Second place, this was interesting. This was something that aesthetically the 6 members of the judging panel really liked. I sort of give the game away now because I say they really wanted to be able to touch it and feel it. It was an incredibly striking sculpture. And so second place goes to Matthew Fackrell for Love Unconditional. Matthew as well. You're not doing very well, are we? You're not doing very well. The first prize winner, and I have to say all 6 of us on the panel wanted to take this home with us. We could have had a very long fight over who got this. We were all extremely drawn to this piece of art. We love the combination of colour, the detailing, the fact it's centred on a conversation about mental health and well-being. We were struck by the strength of the figure. It demanded attention. The motif, the link between the yellow wallpaper and the gold, the way it was framed, the whole execution was fabulous. And the first prize winner is Emma Newnham, Charlotte Perkins Gilman with gold wallpaper. And I know Emma isn't. And lastly, we have one highly commended. This was a compelling work of art, well researched, well executed, and it's the art entitled John Hume, Derry, Sean Obana. Oh yeah. At last we got somebody. Yes, I'll just stay here.
That's it.
Yeah.
Give him a wave. Make you wave. I would like to hold on just one moment, if that's okay, because it is not all. There are 2 things that I'd like to add. First of all, a huge additional incredible thanks to Caroline Silver, one of our panel judges, for generously supporting the joint 3rd extra award that we had today. But as hopefully you'll have been aware, I did say there are going to be 6 awards tonight. So we have the additional People's Vote Award, the final prize of the evening, the People's Vote. This year, we invited you all to vote for your favourite artwork online through our virtual exhibition. And the winner of the People's Vote will receive a gift for vouchers, for art supplies, in addition to their certificate and flowers. So the results have been totted up, and I am thrilled to say, I know with absolute certainty they are in the room. I'm very pleased to announce that the winner is, come back down, it's Sean Obana. For those joining at home, Sean was right at the back of the lecture room, so we've made him walk all the way around the stairs once again. Very well done. Flowers as well. So now for the very last part of the evening, I'm pleased to invite Liz Waller and Janet Stewart, Executive Dean of Arts and Humanities, to the stage for some closing remarks.
thank you all. And first of all, congratulations to the prize winners tonight. Congratulations to everyone who was shortlisted. And indeed, congratulations to all of the entries to the Student Art Prize. They were just outstanding pieces of work, every single one of them. Worthy winners, but absolutely worthy participants. And it shows the wealth of talent that we have in this area. Richard, thank you so much for your support for the prize. Thank you so much for bringing out the talents of our students. Thank you so much for providing the opportunity to everyone sitting here, to those of you who are joining us at home at the moment as well, to provide a professional platform on which you can demonstrate your skills, on which you can begin to build your career or your enjoyment or your engagement with the wonderful world of producing artworks of different kinds in different genres. And thank you so much to everyone else who's made this possible tonight. Thanks to Jess, of course, thanks to Louise, thanks to Alex, Liz, all of your team, Jed. Thank you to colleagues from Event Durham as well, who are here in the room, who've made all of this possible. And of course, to all of our colleagues who are ensuring our health and safety tonight. Those of us who are in the room are seeing exactly how the campus has been set out to enable this kind of work. The theme of heroism was an interesting one this year, and a very interesting one to see how that would be taken forward, because there are different models, of course, of heroism available to us. And I think we've seen these on display here, and we've seen these taken into question through some of the works. What we can see with the artworks is not only, of course, our ability of our students to produce beautiful pieces of work, thought-provoking pieces of work, long-lasting pieces of work, but also to write about those pieces of work compellingly. I was reading the texts, as I'm sure a number of you were as well, that were produced by the students to talk to us about the works of art that they produced. And they are every bit as powerful as the works themselves. And some of them begin to take issue with the very question of heroism. And some of them begin to produce alternative ways of thinking about what it means to be a hero. And this year, a year in which our Vice-Chancellor is presented in a very unorthodox fashion, does begin to actually ask us all to question and to think through what it means to be heroic. Stuart talked about Bob Dylan earlier. Forgive me if I move into David Bowie for 1 second and say, you know, we could be heroes just for one day. I think, you know, this year, we've seen so many ordinary acts of heroism. Some of them we're seeing represented in the images that we've seen on screen. Some of them we know anecdotally. Some of them we've experienced in the press, in the papers. Some of them we've seen in terms of interactions between individuals here on campus and elsewhere. We have a number of our college heads sitting here. Every single one of them has been heroic this year. You know, a couple in the audience, others on screen here. The students on campus, all of our members of staff. People have been heroic in dealing with a difficult and a challenging situation. And this art prize allows us to think that through, to contemplate that, and will allow us for years to come to contemplate, to remember, and to think about what we've learned through living, working together in what has been a challenging year, but also a year which has seen some outstanding performances in a whole range of areas. And tonight, of course, we're celebrating the outstanding work of our students in terms of the production of art. We're an institution, we're a university that doesn't have formal training available for the production of artworks of different kinds. We are a university who has a strong commitment to art. We have a strong commitment to the collections of art. We're a university that has a strong commitment to the study of art history and more broadly visual art and culture. We're a university that has strong connections to partners in the region, partners in the Bowes Museum, partners in the Auckland, in the Auckland project in Bishop Auckland and elsewhere, and partners across the world. Art connects us to many parts of the globe. Art connects us to our county. Art connects us to the rest of the world. Art allows us to question the ways in which that connection manifests itself and to think that through. So in finishing tonight, I just wanted to say one more time, a huge congratulations to all of you who have been involved in producing what are an absolutely outstanding set of works of art. Well done to all of you.
There's mask dancing, one moves in, one moves in. I wanted just to my concluding remarks are really around the pleasure of actually working with collections, but working with students and also working with alumni. The kind of too many glasses of wine was not just Richard, but it was also myself at the Vice-Chancellor's garden party. And it was that coming together of minds interested in art, interested in collections, and very much interested in our students that's kind of built this art prize going. To say now to another thanks to Richard, it's not just about giving us money to actually do things like this. It's actually the really active participation of our alumni which makes these kinds of events, this kind of work for us, such a pleasure. And Richard is just a wonderful man to work with. And I'm really pleased to announce this evening that from next year, the top award winner will actually receive the Richard Roberts Art Prize Award. So it gives us true pleasure to actually name that first prize after him from next year. Fantastic thing for us to do. Also now I'd like just to make an invitation to you in the audience, both within the lecture theatre, but also up on screen. It's great to work with new people in this award. So this year it's fantastic to welcome Caroline Silver onto our judging panel. And she was so moved by the work she saw that she actually was then generous in her donation. If you are interested in taking this art prize forward with us, if you think there's something you could like to contribute, and we're not necessarily talking about funding here, but your expertise, your enthusiasm for this type of work, please do get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you, and a glass of wine may be involved, hopefully in a face-to-face environment rather than distanced, as some of you are at the moment. So I'd like to close now, and just really to add my thanks to those of Janet's, to the team who brought this together. It's been a fantastic effort. Just today, they've been here since 3 p.m. blocking the stage. I believe that, yes, Jeff, that's the correct term, blocking the stage out, working really hard with the technology and with the physical environment to make this work. So thank you so much, and thank you again, Richard. We look forward to next year and new heights for this fantastic event. Very much.
Yes, well, the Student Art Prize will be back 21-22 academic year. I have a guarantee it will be a better year than we've just had. We will be launching the Student Art Prize, hopefully in person, with a big celebration early November. So keep checking the websites as the theme is announced, and do join the Art Circle mailing list for more information. If you're interested, it's on the slide above, and I'm sure will be posted in the chat as well on Zoom. So all that is left for me to say, as many have already said, is a huge thank you to our speakers, to the Vice-Chancellor, of course, and Richard for so generously enabling this prize to flourish. But for all of you that submitted artwork, I think they are absolutely stunning. I'm blown away. To all of those who embrace the arts and support them now more than ever in the room on Zoom, thank you. It is so important. We look forward to seeing you again very, very soon, we hope. Be happy, be healthy, and until next time, keep well. Good evening to you all.